What's up, guys? My name's Jonah Corchin. This is
Justin Northcutt.
And we are here at our flip in Napa, California, wine country. We just bought this place for $900,000. We have an ARV pegged at 1.35 million, which means we should profit about $150,000. In this video, we're gonna go over how we found the deal, how we're doing the construction, and how we partnered up in order to make this deal happen. Come watch this video so that you guys can start flipping. Here's how we found this house. We have a real estate agent named Juan who I've been following up with for weeks. Literally weeks for several years. 2 years I've been texting him over and over again, seeing if he had any fixers. And then finally, he has one. This house, he is actually the next door neighbor, and he knew what was happening before it ever went on market. What happened was the mother who used to live in the house passed away, and then the sons inherited the house in an estate, right? And a lot of times with estates, they need to sell quickly, right? Because they want to just get rid of it. There's lots of emotions around it. So an inherited property can be an amazing motivation that you can use to get great deals. And then also making sure that you follow up with either your agent or your seller so that they know that you're ready to be buying. So how we solved their problem was by closing insanely quickly. We did it in under 2 weeks. In order to be able to do this, you need to have lending partners lined up. We had several lending partners ready to go just in case one fell out. We actually had to do this on this property. Our first hard money lender backed out on us because they had dealt with some lawsuits and some legal issues, which almost screwed us for closing on time. But then what I did is I reached out to my entire network of fix and flippers and said, hey, who do you know that can close on this within like 3 to 4 days? Found a lender, closed on it, and made sure the deal still happened. So guys, really it was just a couple of things that made this deal happen. Number one, I have a team that follows up with all of the real estate agents that I know so that every agent that I know knows we're looking for deals. It's a mix of my team and my CRM SimpleSend that automatically sends out text messages to make sure that they know that we're still looking every other week. The link for that CRM will be in the description below. But the other thing that made this deal happen was having a large enough network of people that could help me with parts of the deal that were going badly. When we needed the lenders, I knew exactly the people to call to close the deal and make sure the sellers got what they needed to solve the problem. So now we're gonna have Justin show you the house, show you what we're doing with construction, so you guys know exactly how to design, how to make a house perfect so that it's sellable and you get the highest price on your flips.
All right, welcome. So inside here we have our ranch style home that we are fully renovating. So this space in itself used to be very boxed off, had different walls and then corridors that really fenced this whole thing off. We are now opening it up a ton in order to put in a kitchen that is double the size it used to be. We had a tiny little kitchen with a drop ceiling, very 1970s. And now we're gonna bring this thing back into the 2020s. So it's gonna be huge with a giant island, going with a white oak, nice quartzite countertop, opening this up to the living room, dining room. Dining room is actually gonna be over on this side. Living room is gonna be over there. Whole thing's gonna be open. These support walls right here, just temporary in order to put the beams up inside the ceiling to be able to support the ceiling rafters. This used to be this long, dark corridor with this awesome popcorn ceiling that we was at 7 foot. This was actually the height of it, so I probably would be scraping my head on this thing. We are opening up to 8-foot ceilings, really opening up this space. this space was chopped up with a bunch of doors. Here we've got a bedroom over here. We're actually gonna kind of maintain mostly this bedroom, but we had a door here for our bathroom. We had a door here for our HVAC, a door here for some storage. We had some cabinets over here. Now we're just going to focus on this just being bedroom spaces and living area, our sleeping areas. We took back a little bit of space over here, and over in this primary suite, we actually expanded the closet to a nice walk-in size closet. It's gonna have a pocket door right through there, good size on both sides. And instead of just a simple window to our giant yard, we have now French doors. We're gonna have French doors opening out and being able to just really kind of more enjoy this space. Over here, we actually utilized some of that closet space that we reclaimed, and we're gonna have a toilet room right here with a pocket door, two vanities, basically good size 84-inch vanity with a really good size shower in this space right here. So back over here in the guest bath, we have again claimed which was part of a closet, and now instead of just a single vanity, we're gonna have dual sink vanity with a nice storage inside the bathroom for towels and whatnot, and toilet standard tub shower combo. Kept the tub in order, well, we put a new tub in order to, in case someone has kids and they can put the kids in there.
So I got some questions for you real quick. So how does one make a design decision, right? Like how does one decide double vanity versus not double vanity? How do we decide to open up the kitchen? How do we decide to do any of that type of stuff? Like I as someone who's not as construction experienced, I'd be like, I don't know, maybe we should keep the fireplace, or maybe we shouldn't keep the fireplace. Or like, how does one even decide those types of things?
Fireplaces, it was a wood burning fireplace. We're actually in Napa, where we're right up against
a lot of fires.
A lot of fires, not really the greatest area to put a fire, and actually there's burn days in California, so you can't even use it all the time. You end up spending more money trying to maintain a look or a feel and keeping your living space around it. And so we're actually flipping this whole thing where we're able to use this wall to give ourselves a nice dining space and really open up that whole other area that would have probably been a dining space now to a bigger living area.
Because you're gonna, like, there were walls all on where you see the beams, right?
Yep.
And now we're taking out all of these, no?
Taking them all out.
And that's just because that's the style now, where to just have like an open concept, basically, where you have like the kitchen, the dining room, living room, it's all kind of one big room.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just more like knowing the modern style, basically.
Modern style, and so it's modernizing like the ranch style. So the ranch style had kind of just chopped up. You had dining over there, your family room was over here with a nice warm hearth going on. Actually, that was I got that wrong. Family room was over there, family room was over here. Living was right next door to it, kind of chopped up. This space right here was your dining, and then your kitchen was just right back over here.
Interesting.
So yeah, you were trying to incorporate 4 spaces in this area, which now all of a sudden we have 3 spaces with a wide open space.
Gotcha, makes sense. And then how do you know about like the specific styles that are happening right now? I thought it was interesting, for instance, the rage here is, what is it? Modern oak? Wood oak? White oak? I forget.
White oak.
White
so
oak.
We're going to do a white oak with a natural finish, mostly drawers and actually mostly lowers, keeping this thing open and fresh, and then having a nice size island in the middle. You're gonna have plenty of storage, and instead of trying to fit, what does this corner look like with this window over here and this sink over here, we're gonna have this be kind of way more open, some floating shelves over here, and be able to just incorporate more of a clean, modern look.
And then what would you recommend to like a newer flipper who how do you learn all of this stuff? Like if I was doing this without you, I wouldn't even know where to start with this, right? Like how do you even start learning about what you're supposed to do to a house, and then even communicate that to a contractor or somebody who's gonna actually do the work?
I think the biggest question that a lot of people don't know is probably where you have your bearing walls.
Okay.
So for instance, this was a bearing wall.
What is a bearing wall?
A bearing wall is a structural wall that's going to support your ceiling joists and also your roof rafters all the way up to the top.
Okay.
And for instance, this wall that used to belong right here, you can actually see the old bottom plate right here,
Okay.
was supporting a dropped down 7-foot ceiling. And by taking that out, we're able to get rid of this wall, but we'd have to support it very similar to this ceiling right here. We're supporting these ceiling joists, what are those? Ceiling roof rafters or ceiling joists, yeah, okay. That's actually not the proper term, can't think of it right now.
Okay, so you got to make sure that you have a wall that supports everything, basically.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so most people just have no idea where that wall is, so they don't know what they can do, or like what would you recommend somebody does?
Well, quite honestly, more than anything is you need to get in the crawl spaces. You got a crawl space here, we got an opening up in there, or we did.
Okay.
And you need to get up there and see that these are cut and they don't go all the way across.
Okay.
And
that's
therefore,
better.
well, it's not better. You need to therefore put kind of some support. If these were to go all the way across, you're not necessarily still out of the wood. You still might need to support them depending upon the size. This is a probably 30-foot span. These are just 2x6s. If they're just 2x6s over a 30-foot span, they are using this support and they're using this support to be able to do that. And so that's why we have to put in a beam like this guy right here.
This guy that I'm standing on?
This guy right here, this 26 inch
Got a
or
piece of
26 foot beam.
Where are you gonna put it? Right there?
We're gonna set it right here up on this and go all the way across.
So what does that tell you exactly? So like, okay, so now we know where the bearing walls are. What does that tell us? Like just what we need to do? How does that translate to like what I can do with this house?
Well, if you don't know how to properly support everything, you start tearing down walls and all of a sudden
The house is falling over?
the house, the ceiling, the roof, everything could be crashing down upon you. So, yeah.
Okay, well that's a good first step, that's for sure.
Yeah.
How about just like more basic things? Because we're experienced, we're doing like complicated flips, but what about like more things like just what type of cabinets do I choose? Or like what, what do I do design-wise for most of our flips?
Yeah, there's typically, if it's easy and available, it's probably a style that's already played out. So for instance, everyone is going white shaker cabinets, and that was probably 5 years ago that you should have been still doing that. A lot of people are still painting their walls gray, using some kind of gray flooring. Totally shouldn't be doing anything like that anymore. You need to be using more warm, lighter colors. That's why the white oak is all the rage. It's way more attractive, and that's what more modern buyer is looking for.
Interesting. But like, is it talking to a realtor? How would I know that I've known about the white oak? You just tell me about the white oak, and then I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing white oak on this.
Yeah, no, it's staying, looking at the comps, staying informed with everything that's out there, seeing where someone could have done something differently. You could put some flooring down that is maybe a couple dollars cheaper and just looks like terrible.
Yeah.
And need to know what looks good, what goes together. For instance, in this white oak, we're gonna have the countertops be like a white. It's called Taj Mahal quartzite is what we're gonna be using. And we're gonna match that with a nice brushed brass finishes on our pools, on the drawers, and also like the sink faucet. So that trend will end. I don't know when.
Well, everything ends at some point.
That's right.
I mean, the popcorn ceilings ended at some point,
Yeah, well, and then, sometimes flippers can get really freaked out with popcorn ceiling because there's this huge fear that this is going to be asbestos. So
how often is it asbestos?
I would say it's about a 50-50 gamble.
Okay. So what would we have done if it was all asbestos?
So if it's asbestos, you have to have someone that's licensed to remediate that. It's not actually that hard.
Well, how did you know? Did you just gamble?
I take a piece like this, and I take it to my buddy who tests it.
That's a cool little trick. So you take a little bit and you have a buddy who's like, all right, make sure this isn't asbestos.
That's right. And I also
you did that on this
when I first
blocked it.
first blocked it out. So I think I stole it from the back corner. Good thing we bought this thing, so someone else didn't.
Yeah. See it?
Yeah.
See you do that?
See that I had stolen this
a little bit. Nice.
Yeah. I also have a lead tester, so I test the walls for lead and things like that.
Okay, nice. Cool.
There's a good chance there's going to be lead on some of this stuff.
Yeah, are there any other little tricks that you can think of that, like when you were first walking it, that you did that was like, okay, that saved me 10 grand, or that adds 10 grand, or anything like that?
Well, so for instance, in this hall closet, you have a heater. Most people don't want to relocate a heater. It's like, no, it's in a good location. Let's not do that. I knew because I had seen that there's lots of space up there.
How'd you see the space? There was like a place to get up there?
Yeah, you gotta do the due diligence. You gotta get a little dirty on the bottom side and on the top side and see where everything is. I knew that all the ducts were all in the ceiling already, so moving the heater and air conditioner up into a space that's already where everything else is. All I have to do is put a return for the air to return right here in this hallway, right next to where all the.
So where was the heater and where are we moving it?
So the heater was right here. This was the framing for it, and
like
it was
in the wood, or what do you mean? Like
this is the doorway for it. It literally, it literally came all the way back to like here. It was this huge.
Oh, this
room.
was the closet.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And
So.
that's where it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually it was from here back over right here all the way over. So huge real estate that is taking up a square footage. It still counts as your square footage, but you have no access or usable.
Use it, yeah.
And so if we didn't move this up, we wouldn't have access to be able to put a second sink here or make that master even, the primary bathroom even remotely as close to that.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool, that makes sense. So, all right. So, I mean, what it comes down to, a lot of it is just experience.
It is experience.
I don't think I think it just depends on it, because like you've had 25 years of construction experience to know that you could do that versus not do that.
Well, and it's also just like learning, and you know, I'm constantly learning new tricks or things, and you know, it's networking with people and making sure that you continue to collaborate. You know, my plumber that is he's a union guy, is very experienced. When we were doing our plumbing on these 4 sinks that we have in this plumbing wall right here, I did just a quick consult with him, you know, little FaceTime, just said, okay, this is all good, this is all kosher, we're gonna be able to do this, and you know, yeah, got the green light on it. So
cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's the inside of the house. Let's check out the outside.
Yeah.
We're talking about the deck, talking about landscaping, just continuing the project. So.
Yeah, so if I was to guess, I would actually guess that this deck was after they had built this place, and I think they did a pretty good job with adding it. The deck material, you could invest some money into this, and it could be pretty expensive. I personally don't see the value in it. I could spend some really good amount of money on teak, for instance, and I wouldn't probably.
We're just gonna paint it, right?
We're gonna paint it. Yep.
Yeah.
Put a nice
it doesn't
little.
need much. I mean, it's got like a really cool pattern right here that I like.
Yeah.
It just seems like it needs a fresh coat of paint just to make it like look nice, because it's sturdy. It's
very sturdy. Yes. So we have 2 sets of stairs that are horribly constructed, and those will have to be updated, and it's not too hard to be able to do that. Cool. And I don't know if we even need 3 here. We probably could get away with 2 steps right in this section. We got one on the other side here. Same thing that kind of brings us out to this giant yard that we have.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, but it is not open, and it can be a lot.
So talk about that. Why would we want an open yard versus a not open yard? What does that even mean?
Well, so right now, if someone doesn't have the same type of imagination, they may go like, well, wait a minute, I guess I'm gonna put like my barbecue there, or maybe I could get a table squeezed in over there.
Yeah.
But when a buyer comes and they can see kind of an open landscape and an open, you know, like canvas, all of a sudden they go, well, we got plenty of room to put our pool. We ourselves wouldn't put a pool because we would get 30% return on our investment.
That would be insane.
But
just 200 grand?
oh
400
no,
grand?
we could probably get one for about 150,000.
Insane though.
Yeah.
For how much extra value? Like 50 grand extra value probably?
Like, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
If we get that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, needing to come out here and just lift a lot of different things. This wisteria is nice. It's just overgrown. We got to take it back. This bottle bush plant over here, again, just, you know, got to get taken up half of it. Actually, almost everything in this area right here, including that roundup I just saw from the previous guy, this all just needs to be taken out and giving us a fresh start on what could happen in this space.
So how do you choose what to take out and what to keep, right? Because some of these trees are really pretty.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
well,
they are pretty trees, so how do you decide? Like, I mean, this thing, I don't know what's happening here with this like block thing going on, but like that one I would take out. But then there's other ones, like you said, take out the tree with the pink flowers. I'm like, that's sad. Those are pretty flowers. But so how do you decide? Like, how do you decide what we got to keep and what we got to take away?
For me, it's just, there's just too much. And so, like, for instance, this is probably going to produce some kind of stone fruit eventually, or maybe it's years past.
Yeah.
It's just not any more value. But like,
Right.
for instance, you got that manzanita, or sorry, magnolia, or no, manzanita. Yeah, that's manzanita. No, it's not. What is it?
I don't know plants. I have no idea.
Oleander.
Zero
Oleander. It's an
idea.
oleander. Napoleon's army died because of skewering meat on these.
Really?
Oleanders.
It's so random.
Yeah, such a random thing. So this white one's nice. The pink one's also nice, but just too many of them. So
Okay.
this thing over here is overgrowing over the top of it. We gotta get this thing coming back to accentuate one of them. There's just too much going on here.
Gotcha.
And for instance, this tree is not the most desirable tree, but we got to pick one or the other. This
Yeah.
tree is probably a lot more valuable than this oleander to give ourselves some more space.
Okay.
Yeah. Same with this this cypress thing right here. Someone could probably do something creative with it. It's an older tree, but it's blocking our French doors, and so
Right. Yeah.
we want to
This
open
one
this
makes sense, especially because you want to be able to see your full backyard from your master bedroom. You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Cool. So
Yeah, so cutting this back, our property goes all the way back, and that's the problem, that just people just keep planting, or some stuff is just already natural, and so you
looks
just
like we
gotta.
got some poison oak back there. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, I think you might
Is
be
that
right.
poison oak? I have
I'm
no
personally
idea.
not going to get over there.
Are we gonna do anything with this, or are we gonna?
We are going to
change
clean it up. We,
Okay, cool.
yeah,
Are we
get
just
some.
pull everything out?
Yeah, more like kind of hack away and
Gotcha.
keep some of it. We want to be able to keep some privacy, but also kind of lighten it up a little bit.
Because we have like a huge backyard. It's like the more I'm out here, I'm realizing that we actually have way more. It's just either getting blocked by, you're right, by like random things in the middle of where you would think it is,
Yeah.
or like we have like extra room over here. We also have some of this hill, right?
Right.
So do we have any plans for the hill, or like what we're gonna do up here or anything like that?
No, that's where just opening some of it up, taking down our leaning pine.
Well, yeah, that
for
tree's
instance.
about to fall over.
But someone might
So-
want to keep this, and I even kind of struggled with keeping this, but there's also a nice bush right behind it.
What do you
So-
think? This is just a random idea. I don't know if it's useful or not because I'm just looking at it. What do you think? I guess you wouldn't be able to see much. I was gonna say put a bench up there, but like probably.
No, that's
Doesn't
not a
make
bad idea. Yeah, you're going to see
Not
a
a bad
lot.
idea.
In fact, all the deer. That's why that deer fence is up there. When we go to stage this, when we bought the property, there were some binoculars that were just right there on the patio.
Interesting.
We're going to pick those same binoculars and put them there so
Gotcha.
people look in that direction.
So talk about yards a little bit, about like how do you use it for value, right? Because there's obviously something called usable square footage and then not usable square footage with lots. So like talk a little bit about that and what that is, and how our lot, for instance, the parts that are usable versus the parts that aren't usable, quote unquote.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the hillside here, not so usable.
Right.
You can make it like some kind of trail and, start gaining that back. Although that becomes retaining walls,
Right.
costly. You already have such a big yard. I don't know what value you would get
Just pushing the hill back.
and in pushing the hill. Well, or reclaiming the hill, I guess it would be.
Right.
And so using the flat spaces that you can versus the hillside.
We
Now,
have such a big backyard anyway, so it doesn't
Yes.
really matter.
That's right.
Like, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because like the only thing that would be cool about the hill is if you want to go up there and like hang out and maybe smoke a joint up there or something and look
Sure.
out, but that would be like about it.
Or look at your roof.
Otherwise you have like plenty of room to do barbecuing, have a party, whatever you want.
Yeah, you can install a huge pool in here. You can do whatever you want out here.
Yeah.
So the other thing is you typically want to try to use a low cost filler when you open it up. Well, you could put grass out here, but Napa's got a program called Cash for Grass, and they are actually wanting people to cut down their water usage. So the plants that we're going to be putting back here are going to be native to California, fire resistant.
Cool.
And
that's awesome.
Open it up.
What are the types of plants? So it won't be grass. What will it be?
Mostly it'll be rock and like a pea gravel, which is also used to not be popular. Now it's popular again, and it's instead of crushed, disposed granite, granite. Now it's back to pea gravel being a very popular item.
Cool.
So and it just will kind of like make it a clean slate. Cool. So, and if someone wants to do something different, they can take the pea gravel or the bark up. I like using black bark. It's cost a little bit more, but just a cleaner look. Awesome. Gray and black. Open this thing up. We're planning on painting the house white.
Talk a little bit about the painting, because I think it's hilarious your plan with the roof also.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of that in my entire life.
So this is probably one of my least favorite roofs, but there's some company that goes around and it's actually kind of, it's metal, but it's actually more like an aluminum clad roof. Okay. And so, yeah. So this roof actually has an existing roof underneath it that they clad over the top of, and it's almost like the aluminum siding over the top of the roof. So we could take it off. It'd be about a $20,000 roof to put a nice comp on, a presidential or something like that. Instead, hate the color, but we are going to turn it into a more desirable color by painting it. We're going to get it pressure washed, and we're going to use a metal to paint on it. It's got some texture as well. And
how much does that look like the roof that we would have if we spent the 20 grand? Because it's interesting the choices you choose, where it's like, okay, are we going to spend $20,000, or is it just not going to add enough value where it's worth it, right? Like, I'm just curious. Personally,
if it's not an eyesore like it is currently, I believe that we'll get $0 less because we put in we paint this existing ugly roof, in my opinion, versus putting a nice comp roof. No one looks at the roof. They just want to know if there's roof issues. And this has no roof issues. Yeah. It's just ugly.
Yeah.
And not the greatest. Cool. So yes, paint it.
Cool.
We also
and then why
take
are we painting the house white as well? That's an interesting, it's a choice that I partner with Clippers constantly, and it's also just like every time we paint it white. Yeah,
it's like, you know, sometimes you can get creative depending on the region. Really, people want clean, they want simple, they want this thing to look, you know, they want it to pop. You can't paint something this, I mean, you can do, the gray was very popular at one time. It still is. On this, I want the imperfections of the stucco to go away versus shine. And so if I was to paint this a darker color, you're gonna see some more of the imperfections. If I paint this a more flat white, it's gonna fall away, the imperfections on it. So yeah, opens it up. And on the inside, there used to be where you'd paint like a very white baseboard, super white, uber white, and then a softer grayish color on the walls. Now it's all the same color, just the different sheen, and it gives it that more like just a cleaner look, and gives people the ability to, instead of seeing your vision, they actually can see their own vision and what they got.
And I feel like that's like one of the biggest things with flipping that's different than like remodeling your own house, is like what you're aiming for is for someone to be like, this will 100% be our dream home. We just have to make a couple things on our own changes to make it exactly the way we want. Because someone who wants to spend $1.35 million on a house is going to be particular, but we're not going to know their particularities. We're just going to get it as close as we need to in order for them to be like, okay, I can do the little bit of whatever, I'll plant a tree there, or I'll build the pool, or whatever it is necessary.
Yeah, I like to always say, this isn't my house. I mean, yes, we currently own it, but this isn't my house and it needs to sell to the masses.
Right.
And so if I really love a nice orange door or something, that's great for me, but it needs to be marketed to the masses. And so, yeah, have
100%.
to. Yep.
Cool, and that's the rehab, guys. We'll talk to you guys a little bit in a sec about like how you can partner up with people to get deals done. So we're just gonna throw down some quick numbers, right? We'll throw it down here. We'll start with our ARV of 1.35, right? And we're just gonna start minusing costs so you get the idea of what the costs are. I'll have a calculator out, Justin will just start writing, and we'll like get to it, right? So we can just show you guys like real quick how you can do something like this, right?
Perfect. Start from the top?
Yeah, so
you already
let us know when you're ready. Me or Justin? Okay. All right, guys, so here's what we're gonna do in this section. On this section, we're gonna break down the specific costs of the rehab so you guys know exactly how much your rehab could potentially cost. Now, rehab is different in every single market. We're in Napa. Materials here are just more expensive than anywhere else. But we are gonna give you guys an idea about what our rehab was, what our costs were, and what our profit's gonna be. So I'm gonna have a calculator. Justin's gonna just start writing stuff out, and I'm gonna just start calculating things as we go on. So you always start with ARV, right? 1.35 million. Right? We calculated that by going through sold comps, by looking at potentially what's on the market, and we also have it where we calculated our numbers to something even more conservative than that, just to make sure that we're always making money and we're never losing money, right? So we're gonna start there, right? And I feel like the first thing that you always minus is just realtor costs, right? I feel like that's the easiest, because when you sell this, guys, you're gonna have to pay, if it's certain markets, it's gonna be 6%. In our market, it's 5% just because we have such highly priced houses where realtors are willing to accept 5%, right? 2.5% per side, right? So if we do the math here, right? Taking off 5%, you're at 1.2825, right? That's what you get from minusing 5%. Then what I do, because there's a lot of miscellaneous costs, right? There's staging once we have the place fully rehabbed. There's closing costs, title, escrow, all of that. I usually take off just an extra 2%. I don't know if you think that's too lenient or if that's pretty good.
No, that's pretty good. I typically about 7% altogether, yeah.
Yeah, so then what we'll do, usually on my calculator, what I'll do is just 1.35 times 0.93. That's the way for taking off 7% in total, and that'll be 1.255. Right? So then we have that, right? And then typically at this point, what I'll do is I'll minus rehab, right? This house, we calculated about 100 grand in rehab. Talk to us a little bit about just how does one calculate a rehab? Like how do you figure that out if you're like a first time flipper?
Typically, I actually, kind of a rule of thumb, like to go 10%. So 10% of ARV would be 135,000, right?
Okay.
We aren't at 10%. We're a little bit less. I think that's just based on our experience and the fact that we can go down. We're actually at 100K versus a 35K.
So a rough estimate would be like what, 10% of it if you're like, you know, a newer flipper, you don't have the construction experience, you don't know exactly like, oh shit, this is asbestos, like all of that type of stuff, you think?
Yeah, I think that if it's your first flip, I might even calculate 12% because unless you're willing to do a lot of legwork yourself, you know.
And then obviously you got to make sure we're talking about like cosmetic flips, right? We're not talking about the foundation needing to be replaced. We're not talking about, you know, there a tenant being in there that you got to deal with, right, guys? So we're really talking about just like simple, easy flip. You just got to make it look beautiful. You're not getting permits, none of that. We're just talking about the cost of a renovation. So that's really interesting. I've never heard anyone say that before, to be honest. I always had, what everyone told me was always just talk to contractors, talk to as many contractors as physically possible, and then like start getting ideas of it and averaging out their costs for everything. What I do, especially if you're into wholesaling, which is like my primary experience, is what I do is I talk to fix and flippers, get as many price per square foot as I possibly could for either cosmetic, a regular, or like a gut job, or a kind of like down to the studs destroyed house. Those are the 3 categories I always put them in. Get that price per square foot, times it by the square footage, and then you'll usually be within 5% of where the actual rehab is. You'd say so, right? I feel like when I tell you the rehab, you're either like more liberal than me, you're like, actually, I think it's 80 grand, but I'll be like, I think it's 100 based on my calculator, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's certain things. For instance, this roof could have cost us an extra 20,000.
Right.
That's a big ticket item. I think in your calculation, you have those major foundation, roof, HVAC, which, you know,
we had to replace all of it. Like
if you had to replace all
everything.
of it, yes. If you didn't have such a, so this is going to cost us around 7,000 versus 15.
Right, because we're not replacing all the ductwork, right?
No.
We're just replacing just the unit.
There's only one relocation because I added that the primary closet.
Yeah, no. So anyway, so like, guys, talk to people in your guys' markets, but like as a quick rule of thumb, I like that. Let's go 10 or to 12% of the ARV for your rehab as a cosmetic. You'll probably be much happier that way because you might need to replace the roof and you just didn't know it, and it gives you that room, right? So anywho, so let's minus 100 grand off of that. That's for rehab, right? And then the last thing to talk about basically is holding costs, right? Now holding costs will change as markets change. Generally, most flippers now can get it'll cost them 1 to 2 points and 10% on hard money, right? And so that will change depending on a bunch of things. Our holding costs are actually a little bit higher than a lot of flippers because a lot of flippers use their own money, right? We don't ever use any of our own money. We actually raised over $300,000 for this project, for the down payment, to make sure that we can pay the first few first bits of construction so that then we can get draws from those, right? And we also have stuff for staging, stuff for the interest payments, right? So our holding costs are a little bit higher than other people's, but it means that we don't have to use any of our own money and we can use our money for other things, right? Our other businesses, stuff like that, right? So
fix and flippers will typically, when they're starting out, not know about the draw process from a hard money, and they'll miss in their calculation the first 20-30% of the construction could be, you know, $20,000 to $30,000. So us having a construction reserve, an interest reserve for the payments on those type of things, out-of-pocket costs that you don't calculate a lot of times is a major issue.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, so we are doing all of this, right? I think if I do it in my head calculating, we budgeted 6 months, right? We think there's no way it doesn't sell within 6 months. It's Napa. The construction is going to be done in what, a month, 2 months max?
2 months.
2 months max. So that'll be 4 months on the market. So I budgeted that. That ends up being, if it goes all the way to the 6 months, about 70 to 75 grand. So we'll just minus 75 grand from that, right?
You're gonna do me the math, or I gotta figure out?
So sorry, my fault. So minus, here, wait, 0.075. That ends up being about 1.0805.
Oh, we're going 8?
Yeah, 1.08, right? And then you basically have all of your costs, right?
Yep.
At that point. So we have it where it's, at that point, we bought it for 900,000. So that, with those calculations, we'd be at like 180 grand profit, right? Now, we always have it where we're going off of decently conservative numbers, right? A lot of the markets has been shifting a lot because due to tariffs and all this other stuff. So just in case, we have the room where, let's say it takes a while to sell or it ends up selling at a different price, like let's say 1.25 or 1.3, there's still that room where there's always profit, right? Because people will be like, man, do you really need to make 180 grand on a flip? It's like, no, but what happens if you know we did need the roof? What happens if the market changes? So we always want to have 10% of ARV at minimum, but we decided on this one to have like an extra 45 grand. We picked up the deal really cheap. I think it's an amazing deal, and yeah, those are the numbers.
Yeah. Hopefully we actually get more than 1.35.
Yeah, I mean, you guys want like, I mean, like we did it and actually, and this is breaking some comping rules, but it gave us like a little idea of like the possibility. A year and a half ago, the next door house sold for 1.47, right? Now, I don't think it's gonna get 1.47. Justin is a little bit like, I think it could get there still, but like, I'm a little bit like, look, that was a year and a half ago. Like, I don't think we can necessarily count that. Appraiser won't use it, but it gives us an idea of like, okay, we're really being conservative, 1.3 or 1.35. So either way, but
our yard's bigger, our kitchen's gonna be more beautiful. We're gonna get there.
We're gonna get there though. So yeah, so there's some of the calculations. Scene, cool. At the end, you're doing the editing. They're gonna chop up a bunch of different things, yeah. So yeah, and so like if you guys want our flipping calculator that we use on all of our rehabs so that you guys are able to know what profit you're gonna make on any single deal, check the description of this YouTube video. I'm gonna put a link in there. It's gonna have the link to that flipping calculator, and we're gonna give that to you guys for free. Awesome, so I also wanna take this part of the video to talk a little bit about partnerships, right? I think partnerships are amazing. They make things happen. I couldn't have done this deal without Justin. I don't even have close to the construction experience. I have no desire to have the construction experience. Or to even manage rehabs. I managed one rehab in Colorado Springs, did a YouTube video on that. You guys can find the link to that also probably in the description. That was terrible. I hated every single part of it, right? Well, that's Justin's strong suit, is managing construction, doing construction, all of that type of stuff, right? And when I did mine, I went 100% over budget. It was double the amount that I thought it was gonna be, right? Which happens, right? If you don't know what you're doing. While Justin, he's good at finding deals, but I'm a specialist at it, right? Like I have a whole company that's dedicated to finding deals, closing deals, negotiating, all of that good type of stuff. And also, thanks to social media, I have a ton of private money lenders, ton of people who want to become part of our deals. If you're interested in that, I've got a free private money lender package that can help you figure out whether it's a safe deal or a bad deal for you to lend money on. But yeah, like, so I'm really good at raising money. I'm really good at finding deals. And then what we'll do is I'll find the deal. Our flipping company will pay my wholesaling company for finding the deal. And then I get 50% for raising the money, and Justin gets 50% for doing all the work after closing, right? But my question for you, Justin, is just like, how do you really find partnerships? How do you find the people that you can do deals with? Like you and I have been talking for 5 years. I have no recollection of how we met. I feel like I might have just randomly messaged you on Facebook or something. It's very hard for me to remember.
No, the very first time we met actually was very brief. Was actually at a meetup in San Francisco.
Okay.
Not hosted, well, Lonzo was actually one of the speakers. The first time I actually met him.
Vincent Lonzo, a great guy, shout out to him.
And I think just started collaborating after that. I was interested in some of your deals, so I actually bought a deal of yours in Sacramento.
Oh, did you? When? That must have been 3 years ago?
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Love it.
That was a good experience, and made some good money on that one.
Cool.
And yeah, I think we have just been collaborating. I find deals I'll have you look at for Dispo, and I think it was just more we both were wanting to kind of focus on the things that we were focusing on, and I think I reached out to you and said like, hey, like let's start doing deals together. And
yeah.
Like, yeah, let's start doing deals together.
Well, I think you also made it super easy for me, right? Like in the sense of like a lot of people, I think your dog is adorable, by the way. I love it. But I think it's also, you just made it super easy for me because people have done that before with me, but then they like don't follow up or they're not as interested after a while, right? While you're like, no, like I would love to just turn some of these into flips, and we can definitely do that and make money together. You have the parts that I don't have, I have the parts that you don't have, right?
Right.
And those two things together, I think made it really good. You and I have had conversations for 5 years now, going back and forth. I've seen some of your projects, right?
Yeah.
I knew what you were doing on the flipping side and the construction side. And then I also, I don't know if I told you this, I got references from you too, or not from you, but like about you, in the sense of like, okay, who are some people who've done deals with him before? Were they good? Like you did a deal with Lonza, right? So like I talked to Lonza about it and was like, hey, how did that go? Did everything go well? I was like, yeah, man, he did everything he was supposed to do. Everything went really well, right? And that's something you want to do too, right? Like if you are thinking of getting a new partner in any venture, make sure you vet them, right? Justin had seen a lot of my stuff from Instagram and social media and stuff like that. And then I vetted Justin to make sure he knew what he was doing on the flipping side by just talking to people who had done deals with him in the past.
Yep.
So
I think
it's a huge
the
part of it.
magic basically happened when I started going into the Discord with your team. You guys got so much going on and lots of different opportunities, which is great. But I think it also being able to find and identify ones. This was probably what we looked at 6 or 7 other deals before we decided.
Probably more than that.
Yeah.
How long were you? I feel like you were in the Discord community for my Discord for quite a while.
Yeah, but as far as like, you know, really starting to think, okay, we're going to put one together.
Yeah.
You know, we want to do this. Which one's going to be the right one?
Which, by the way, guys, I highly recommend if you're a wholesaler, meet a fix and flipper.
Yes.
Or a contractor or anybody who really knows numbers really well and invite them into your team and talk about like the different opportunities, because having Justin on my team makes it really nice when like there's like things where I'm like, I don't know, what do you think of this? Is this like way worse than I think it is? Because what I was doing before was if there were foundation issues, I just minus 100 grand immediately, right? Because I just have no idea. But now Justin's in there, he'll look at the inspection report and be like, nah, that's like 15 grand. I'll be like, are you serious? Like, why is everyone tripping about this then? Why are people tripping about these foundation issues? So
sometimes they are even more than what's on the report. But
yeah.
It's really got to know what you're looking at.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of symbiotic things, guys. And I just recommend for anyone who just feels like they're really good at one part, go to meetups, right? I run a meetup in Denver, Colorado, but there are tons of meetups wherever you are. There are great ones in the Sub 2 community, which is like a community I'm a part of. It's a community that Justin's really close to.
Yeah.
And yeah, like just go to different meetups, start meeting people, see who you connect with. It's also a vibe type of thing. You and I vibe well together just as humans as well, right? So the mix of that, it's like knowing that the other person is just a good human being, isn't gonna screw you over, mixed with just the experiences being different is where like magic can start happening and you can start making a freak ton of money, guys. So that's also something that I just highly recommend is find partners, because you will end up making a lot more money due to that, because it would take me 25 years to just know the stuff that you know about construction, and it would take you probably 5 years to know what I know about wholesaling and just finding deals, right?
Yeah.
So
running the crew you run and all the business, Yep.
So yeah, guys, that's a little bit about team management or about partnerships, unless you got more on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think collaboration is important, and I think I learned that early on in my own career is, you know, meeting different subcontractors. I'm always looking for other subcontractors, drywall guy, plumber, any type of person, because sometimes people, they either kind of fade away, they grow too big, they move some in some other direction, and so it's always, I've had relationships with people in construction since 2008. I don't know how old you were at that time.
I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
I was in 8th grade.
So maintain relationships with those people throughout, and you know, those are type of relationships that you just continue to build upon. I can call someone for that and they'll give me a reference on a different person. I can vet, just like you were saying, vet different people. Hey, you ever worked with this guy before? Oh yeah, they're good, you know, or not so much. Maybe you should steer away
from that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So collaboration is always key, I think.
100%. And guys, like we have different Instagrams. Mine is my name, Jonah Corchin. His is Black Point Investments. So if you guys are trying to do deals with us, we do deals all over Northern California. I can help you wholesale deals nationwide, right? But if you want us to be your buyers, it'll be somewhere in Northern California, and you guys can reach out to us on Instagram. We're really chill guys. We'll help you answer questions and all that stuff. And
yeah, I love helping other people too.
Yeah, I mean, constantly.
Yep.
Guys, like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing videos on how to do fix and flipping, how to do wholesaling, how to make money in real estate. We will have it on our YouTube channels, and yeah, we'll see y'all on the next one.